Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Hello and welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl. We are in episode 3 of season 8. And with us for this lovely conversation is Sandra Pelley. So for those of you that have been with us in the past, as you know, she is a regular. I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll go from there.
Drat. I heard you say that in Kitty's. Kitty, I'll let you introduce yourself. And I thought to myself, oh no, I have to introduce myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Sandra Pelley, the Sandini, inner peace mentor, dragon ally, galactic shaman, as well as visionary of the Guide Academy. I come from a small park, a national park in Canada, Alberta, Jasper National Park, and was born and raised beside the mountains with all the animals and things, and just really have, over the last roughly almost a quarter of a century now, really been playing in the energy of all that there can be. And I dabbled with it by looking at metaphysical and holistic ways of healing because of a pretty major injury I had back in 2000. And going into 2015, I really started to step up and step in and really show up for myself in a much different way. And it's just been amazing what's been unfolding. 2017 was a big year for me. Last year, I really decided to accelerate my spiritual journey, and that's how I worded it, because I didn't want to accelerate my life per se, because if you just leave it random like that, Lord knows what's going to come up. So I chose the spiritual journey, and it's been really incredible to be a part of that and be the observer of that in my own body and in my own journey. But also, I think for those who know me, just to experience that as I like people to come along for the ride, not to just witness it, but to come along for the ride. So I've been very open about sharing what my journey's been like, and making sure that others, if they want to do the same thing, can have the tools to do it. So, yeah. Beautiful.
And so, as always, to people that are listening live, feel free to ask questions, interact, put messages in the chat, however it is that you want to interact with us. So where would you like to start, Sandra?
Well, it was really interesting because I was thinking earlier that I have the perfect kind of segue into this, in that you guys heard me say Dragon Ally. The name of my talk, I believe, is something along the lines of Live Your Inner Dragon. And earlier today, I was thinking to myself, man, oh man, the amount of people that seem to be jumping on the bandwagon with dragons, it's just wild. Like it's the year of the dragon, and everybody's got everybody's talking about dragons. Everybody's talking about dragons. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I didn't have a choice. Dragons showed up and made themselves known to me, and therefore I am on a dragon journey in this year, in a really beautiful manner. And I think that's the way I want us to open this, is just to understand it doesn't matter where you are in anything. If something comes into your existence, you're not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon. You're being basically shoved, pushed, and prodded in a certain direction, possibly. And that's what happened with me. So
it reminds me of my childhood, because I've always been, when I was really young, my mother's animal spirit is a panther. And so when I was young, I aligned a lot with the panther as well. But it never felt like it was my animal until the wolf appeared in my life. And then it became really clear that the wolf is my animal. And a few years after that, everywhere was wolves. Wolves were everywhere. And it was everybody's animal spirit. And I was like, no, I was there first. But dragons for me, it's interesting that you bring up this idea of dragons because when I first started learning to channel, we were taught to understand who our gatekeeper is and who our guardians are.
Mhm.
When we channel, the idea is that we have a guardian and a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is literally the one that says yay or nay to anything that wants to come forward. The guardian is the one that supervises and looks out for your body while your awareness is playing somewhere else. This is a trance channel. And what came forward for me in terms of gatekeeper and guardians were two wolves, male and female, and a dragon. Actually, what came forward wasn't a dragon, it was a guardian. It was a gargoyle standing on a pedestal, which was the image that I had when I was a child. I had this gargoyle that I bought that was as big as the block that it was on. So it was a gargoyle sitting on top of a pillar, a square pillar, a column. And that was the image that came forward when I first started channeling. And it was about maybe 3 or 4 months into it that it started letting me know that it wasn't a gargoyle, that it was actually a dragon. And so that's why I have in these conversations a blanket with two wolves, male, female, and I've got my little dragon in the background, and so these three are my trio that play the role of guardian and gatekeeper in not only when I'm channeling, but my day-to-day life. So
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I know for myself with dragon energy, of course, I think for many of us, depending on what your age is, in North America for sure, and possibly some other continents, Puff the Magic Dragon was really big when I was a kid. And I could probably sing part of that song for you. Um, but yeah, Puff the Magic Dragon was really, really big. And it was really interesting just watching the history of TV and movies and how they've taken dragons and made them these very vicious, scary creatures. And then in between that, some other movies have come in, like the Training My Dragon. It's and I really want to emphasize that when we are connecting with spirits, we truly have a choice on how we want to do things. For myself, I do everything for the highest good, for the most benevolent reasons, and the greatest good of all. And in doing that, when my guides and spirits and such beings connect with me, they are of the same ilk. Like they're all in that same energy of being for the highest good, for the most benevolent reasons, the greatest good of all. And in probably about gosh, I guess it would have been about maybe 2018. I actually painted a dragon that came in. He was a serpent dragon, and I've had dragons come in. Like in one of my groups, I do something called a Flying Friday, where I post a dragon oracle or tarot card every Friday and talk about it. And dragons have just really made themselves known in a very powerful way. Like I said, I didn't have a choice. In fact, I was doing a Q&A call using the, oh gosh, I believe it's Diane Cooper's Oracle deck with the dragons. And she's got all kinds of dimensional dragons in there. And one of them actually came through and it has made itself like it's an orange dragon and it's a source dragon, meaning that's the dimension it's from, is a source dragon. It actually has this galactic energy at its upper limbs. This has this galactic energy, and that's where it shows me answers is in that galactic energy. So if I'm doing readings or anything like that, it'll pop in little images in that. It's really quite interesting. And more recently, it's a white serpent dragon that's been very, very prominent, and it showed up in a journey that I was on recently as a little infant, which was really, really interesting. And actually, one of the people watching here provided a photo later that was very similar to what I had felt I had witnessed in this beautiful white serpent dragon being a little baby. So it was quite neat. Yeah.
very cool. So dragons. We have this. The other day, I was in a conversation with a channel and I asked the question, are dragons real? Or are we just making it up? Like, are they really real? Or are they some idea that we're creating of ourselves from ourselves? And naturally, the answer that came back was, as long as you're imagining it, it's real. And because we're imagining dragons to be real, they are real. And so if you're listening to this and saying, why are these people talking about dragons? You know, dragons are just another mythology. You know, some people align with nature, some people align with the angels, some people align with, you know, the fairies, the fays, some people align with, you know, who knows. But, you know, specific demigods or specific gods or
Yeah.
specific religious figures. Dragons are just another metaphor for the same conversation. It's always the same conversation. We are all one. We are the energy
Yep.
of all that is, and we play in different ways. And for me, dragons, I love dragons. You know, there's a beautiful movie. I think it's called Dragon I Am. It's a Russian movie, and I think Netflix or Amazon has the American translation. I ended up I didn't like the translation, so I ended up reading the subtitles. But it's a beautiful movie of a dragon who basically abducts a woman, and the movie is the relationship between the two. And in the end, she ends up, I'm not going to tell you what the end is, but anyway, it's the relationship
Thank you.
between the two. And it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. It was just an incredible movie.
I want to hop in here. There's something really important in what you just said. It's the relationship, right? And that's what I feel I have. I feel I have a relationship with the dragons that are choosing to work with me. And that empowers both myself, but it also empowers the dragons too. Like there's such an honorable group, and I love that that is what's really coming through. And it's if they weren't, how does this even want to come through? You know, like if dragons weren't real, why does every culture seem to think that they're honorable, they're respectful, they're guardians? Like it just feels like there's more going on here than really meets the eye. And I mean, there's a lizards that are named after dragons. There's dragonflies. Like, you know, when we start to think of all the words that have dragons in them, uh, I truly believe that dragons are real. They exist in some realm, in some dimension. And if you go wider than our 3D and human existence, then we are walking with them. We are in that dimension with them. We're experiencing them. And so they're crossing over to come into this dimension with us.
So I heard somebody talk about how dragons like the Fae had associations and relationships with humans, and then the humans ended up going in their path and ended up causing havoc, and so the dragons shifted to another dimension so that most of us could no longer interact with them. And so similar idea from what I understand in terms of dragons and fae is that similar kind of situation where they're still here and they're playing on all different kinds of levels, but they're at a different dimension than we're currently playing at right now.
And I really think that humanity, are more ready than they've ever been to to bear witness, to be a part of that, to welcome that energy back in a way that they used to do. It may not be the same way that how do I just said the way they used to do. What I mean is that relationship with the dragons, it won't necessarily be in the same way. Like we're not going to be wearing armor and have big lances and do the things that they show in movies per se. However, it, I want to share something I did, and it's making itself really, really quite prominent here. Last year, I was in a journey with, I'm not sure what at this time. However, I witnessed a dragon's, like the eye area, right? And as the scene drew back, this dragon's head appeared and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, I realized that this was out in the galaxies, okay, out in the cosmos, if you will. And then it became obvious that this head of the dragon, with a whole body attached to it, I could only see the head because it was so massive, was far larger than the planet Earth. And I've been drawn to share that with you today because it's not out there to cause us harm. And it's like anything, like, you know, I everywhere I go, there's this crystalline castle right here with me, everywhere I go. And so I feel so, um, you used the word guardian. I don't necessarily use the word safe and protected, although I really feel like it's got my back. It's got humanity's back being out there, right? Like it's here to help us. And
Yeah,
I know I'm going off on
the word guardian, I again, I want to play with this idea because as we've talked about in the past, right? I am of the belief that I don't need to protect myself from anything because nothing is out there to harm me. And so I don't need
right, same here.
protection from that. But I like the idea of having a guardian as someone that is overseeing what I'm doing and helping me and kind of nudging me in places. You know, it's like Pete's dragon, right? It's like he was big, but he was cute and playful, and he would kind of like nudge him, right? It's like, go over here, you know. And so for me, my guardians are they're not my protectors as such, but they are my companions.
Yeah, yeah. I like that because I'm feeling even more kind of where I'm leading into the energy of the inner dragon. And it's really in alignment with what you just said. We all have our inner knowing, right? Where we know that something, or we know we're supposed to do something, or there's just that inner knowing. Our inner dragon is that piece that actually takes it into action. So when I feel into my inner dragon, it comes through very strongly as a specific element, actually. So when we're talking about the elements, we're talking about wind, earth, fire, and water, or the ethers, the gases, right? And mine specifically comes in as a color and a specific element. And it's really fascinating because as I do things, it actually, I can feel the flow of that. So Kitty is very much a fire person. She was a speaker earlier today. I'm more like, even though I'm a Leo, I'm like literally born 0808 at 818. Like I'm so Leo energy, it's almost ridiculous. There's a water dragon within myself. And that inner dragon, that water dragon, I guess too, it's that steam. It's just coming to me, the fire and steam, right? Fire, water, and that steam. It's just this beautiful, magical piece that all comes together to help me to flow through things. And it will, just like that source dragon, it'll nudge and push me in specific directions, just like you were saying with Pete's dragon. Yeah, I know.
So I'm thinking about the elements. I was in a conversation, I forget, I think it might have been through Samuel actually. But I was in a conversation with Spirit who was channeling through someone in my life. And they were talking about the 7 elements. And whenever we play with elements, I always think about that. There's the natural fire, water, earth, air, which everybody's aware of, right? Then there's metal, which some people include. Then there's ether. And then there's, and this is the word that I'm losing right now, the word plasma is coming, but plasma to me sounds very medical and it isn't what I'm looking for. It's the lava, whatever the word is for lava. I forget what the word is. But those are the 7 elements, which are interesting to play with. So I bring this up because as we're playing with energies and with spiritual development and spiritual expansion, I always like introducing other opportunities to play with something a little bit beyond what we understand. And, you know, we are living through the process of recognizing that our experience of life isn't perceived just through our human senses. Just like the elements that we interact with aren't just the typical 4 or 5 that most people talk about. There's actually more. There's actually more besides the 7, but the 7 are the ones that were kind of presented as the primaries. Is plasma the right word?
I'm not sure. Joan, she's very much into the Chinese elements. She might be able to write in the chat whether it is, or come on and say whether
Plasma
that's something that
doesn't
she's
sound
aware of.
right to me, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's the lava, whatever the lava is for
Okay.
whatever the word is for the lava aspect of our elements. So
I find that really fascinating because for myself, it's only been in the last, oh gosh, maybe 3 months that when I'm doing a grounding and we're going down through the feet and down with roots into the to the earth, I'm going down into the lava layer now, which I never used to do. I used to just ground into the dirt, and now I'm going all the way down into the lava.
okay, so
Okay.
I've got something here. Magma, that's the word I was looking for, is
Magma.
molten
Okay.
rocks inside the surface of the earth. Lava is when magma pops up onto the surface. And plasma is the 4th state of matter after solid, liquid, and gas. Space is the best example of plasma. So plasma is also known as superheated gas. And so plasma isn't what I was looking for. Magma is the word I was looking for. That's the other element. Anyway.
So Marianne asks in the chat if there are, or what about star dragons, and are there air dragons? You know what? If you said the words, they are there. There are star dragons and are air dragons. Okay, very much so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Marianne, actually just close your eyes right now and see which energy of those wants to pop up. Like if you feel connected with star dragons or air dragons, just feel the energy and see which one pops up for you, right? And you could take this a step further. Like in our humanness, we we imagine a star looks like a star. I mean, obviously it can look so much different than that, but and that's comical that a star looks like a star. The 5-pointed star. If that's how you want to feel into the energy of a star dragon, then you can actually witness now that star becoming a planet or one of those cosmos bodies, and then feel into whether there is a dragon flying around it or if there's dragons inhabiting that star. You are making a direct connection just in doing that. You could maybe be even connecting in with family members, your own family members, or maybe the family group that's there. Yeah. And then the air dragon, I love that because um, there was a journey that I did, some sort of meditation, where I asked people to ground into the element of air or water or fire instead of into ground, because we're always grounding into the ground, right? But what if you were grounding into air instead? So there's a movie out there that has that water body, and it falls in love with a human woman, and that's the same thing that I picture an air dragon to be or a fire dragon to be. They don't necessarily have to be like we think, bones and skin and that type of structure. For sure, they can be in air. That is so cool. Thank you for asking that question.
One of the things that that somebody listening might be thinking about is, yeah, but she's just going to make that up in her imagination. And imagination is the same conduit through which we experience our spiritual intelligence. And so the one of the channels that I listen to is Sarah Lynn and the Council, and I talk about them all the time. And they talk about how the 6th dimension is the dimension of imagination. And so when we play in the 6th dimension, we are actually creating form, literally creating form that then eventually can become material form in other dimensions. But in the 6th dimension, where we play with our imagination, we are literally creating form. And so either in any kind of guided meditation, either you are creating something with your imagination and that imagery is meaningful to you, or your higher self or a member of your spirit team is feeding you imagery and imagination as a method of communicating a message to you through that message, through that storyline.
Now, I want to bring this down into another even layman terms kind of version, okay? One of, I believe, the misconceptions that we have is that imagination is a bad thing. How many people, when they were young, were told by a parent, oh, that's just in your imagination, that you're just making it up, right? The word imagination, actually, if you imagine, or if you actually choose instead, so it's like, some people really have a difficult time with the word dream, so they use vision or goal instead. Those can all mean the same thing, right? So if you choose instead to have more power, change that word imagination into the portal. That this is the portal. Your imagination is the portal that these guides have the ability to come through and visit you with. Okay? And it's a good thing.
And so there's a question in the chat. Do you think everyone has a dragon on their journeys?
Yeah, I would say yes. They choose when they want to make themselves present. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I truly think that I feel, I don't even think, I know that for myself, I know because, I mean, as we're sitting here having this conversation, can you not feel the dragon energy that's all around? Like every one of you has at least one dragon, if not multiple dragons. You have your inner dragon, and then you have, as Daniel said, there's the possibly the guardians or the gatekeepers. There's the other ones that are coming through, and everybody has a dragon on their journey. Do you choose to see it? Does it choose to be seen? Yeah.
And so it's a similar question to, does everybody have a guardian angel?
Yeah.
Does everybody have angels in their experience? Dragons for me are another layer of, again, I use the same word that I started with. It's another metaphor for angels. They're playing at a different vibration, they're playing in a different way, they're representing themselves in a slightly different way with whatever the case may be, but I see them no different than the angelic realm. So do I have angels? If I want to have angels, yes. Are they there even if I don't want them? Yes. But they're not interfering with my journey. They're not presenting themselves to me. But do we all have an angel or angels that are part of our team? Absolutely. And how is that different than a dragon? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet whether or not it's the same idea, but manifested differently.
So something really big is coming in as you're speaking here, Daniel. Uh, who here has had an experience where somebody has come into their life and you've referred to them as your guardian angel, right? There's there we have all likely had some sort of experience like that. It is the same thing if we think that somebody's come in and they're really helping us to move forward in a big way, then that's that dragon energy that's helping to come in as well. Like it's exactly what Daniel was saying. There are so many well, I'm going to go back to the basics. It's all one. One is all and all is one, right?
So dragons for me represent, so again, playing with this idea of, are they real, are they not real, right? What do they represent? Almost everybody that would think of a dragon thinks of some being that is strong, is fierce, is powerful, is wise. And then there's other things that get added into it, which is, the movies and the stuff. But almost everybody has some recognition of the fact that the dragon energy is a strong, powerful, empowering energy that oftentimes is associated with a tremendous amount of wisdom.
I'm
And
going to
so
go beyond that in just a second.
go
I'll let
for
you
it.
finish. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay, okay. I feel that dragon energy will show up in the manner that you need it to show up as well. Because not only will the dragon show up as explained by Daniel, but I've actually had a dragon show up that is like completely fuzzy. And he's like that dude. Um, he's almost like that greenish aqua teal with purple that it does the closet. He's the monster that scares the kids in the closet. It's a cartoon movie. I can't remember what it is, but that's the color this dragon shows up in, all fuzzy and just really loving and adorable. He doesn't show up, and it's comical that it's a he I'm saying here now. Um, he doesn't show up as this courageous being. He shows up as this ooh, you want to cuddle? Let's cuddle kind of dragon instead, right? Because that's what I needed in that moment. But it was a dragon energy that I needed. So yeah.
And so part of the reason that I keep on harping on this is because if you don't align with the idea of dragons, that's okay. If you align with the idea of angels, it's the same conversation. We're just focusing on, again, I talk about this being a metaphor. It's a metaphoric representation of the same conversation, just with different imagery and with different representations. Part of my journey, I love to understand how things work, and I love to go underneath kind of what's behind the scenes of this. Kind of lifting up the hood of the car to look at the engine, though I
Yeah.
I know very little about engines and I'm not a mechanic, but I love looking underneath things to see how
What's
things
under the
work,
rock.
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, part of my questioning, are dragons real, is part of this idea of me exploring beyond what I'm told, but really leaning into what I feel to be true for myself. Now, whether or not dragons are real or aren't, honestly doesn't matter to me. I love the idea of dragons. I love playing with dragons as representatives of my spirit team. And so I go with it. Just like I can't tell you whether or not past lives are real, even though I facilitate past lives. I cannot tell you that they're real because ultimately it doesn't matter. It's a fun ass journey to play on. It's a really cool experience to go on. It's a wonderful storyline to experiment and to learn through. But whether it's real or isn't is kind of besides the point for me. But this is why I'm bringing it up. Align with the metaphors and the ideas and the symbolism that plays with you. You know, animal spirits are no different. There's no difference between a whale or a wolf. The whale can represent the same things to me that a wolf represents to Sandra.
Yeah.
Though, if you look at the definition of the animal and the genetic representation of the animal, they're going to be very different. But fundamentally, what that animal means to me could be exactly the same thing that another animal means to Sandra.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the question that Casey's presented in the chat too. Are the angels and dragons from the same dimension, and what dimension are they in? I believe that there are so many dimensions that we haven't really, as humans, begun to explore or even begin to know how many dimensions there are. Are angels and dragons from the same dimension? Close your eyes and imagine angels and dragons in the same dimension. Oh my gosh, isn't that magical? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how holy and um, loving those dragons would be in an angelic realm? If you go with the idea that angels are loving, I mean, they're all, again, we have all different kinds of representations of angels, right? So I love the question. I believe they can be, and I cannot begin to put a number or a name onto that dimension for the before explained or afore explained reason that there are so many dimensions that we haven't begun to explore them.
One of the things that I really love the council speaking of, this was probably about a year ago, is, we're talking about moving from third dimension to fifth dimension on this planet. And their comment was, you'll eventually get to the point where you stop talking about dimensions because the dimensions aren't important. They're just a useful reference as we are kind of finding our way through a change. And so the dimensions are a way of describing that. The reason that I'm bringing this up, Casey, is that we can get caught up in the distinctions and the definitions of things, and we kind of lose sight of what's behind it. What's the message and what's the meaning behind the words? And so I talk about dimensions, yes. Angels, repeatedly we're told from different sources that angels are part of the seraphim energy. Whatever the hell that means, I have no idea, but I've heard it a million times. Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, who are the same energy, talk about how they come from the dimension of the void. Again, whatever the hell that means. Right?
All my hair stood up on my arms as soon as you said the dimension of the void. Like I could just feel the expansiveness of that. Yeah. Wow.
As anybody that's listened to me talk, I love structure. I love models. I like descriptions. But again, allow yourself to not get caught up in the descriptions and in the models and in the levels. I don't care if I'm third dimension or fifth dimension, as long as I'm living a happy life. And when I start thinking about, oh my God, am I in fifth dimension yet? Well, I keep on going back into third dimension. Then I'm creating a separation between one and the other, as opposed to really being in a quote unquote fifth dimensional space, is one in which we're going to move through dimensions effortlessly and seamlessly.
I want to expand on that a bit too, just so that maybe you can look at the group can look at it or hear it from a another perspective. Is that when we by choice are, and it's not like we're going, oh, I'm going to go into the fifth dimension right now. That's not what I mean. When we are choosing to go past what our human thinking is, we are moving past the third dimension. We are going well into the fifth dimension and beyond. And I think that is probably more of a that's what I bring through with the people that I work with, is just allow yourself to move past this, like, well, are angels and dragons in this dimension? Are, like it's just, if you move past that, like, remember how I just said, well, if they were together, what would that look like? You're moving past that, seeing it in the human on walking on earth, right? Because it's just, yeah, if you just move past thinking what you think that might look like and let it appear in whatever manner it wants to appear, I guess. I don't even know if I'm explaining that well. Am I making sense, Daniel?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
No idea what you're talking about.
You're there.
There's Sydney Banks, who I mentioned in the last episode, is one of the people that I've spent a lot of time looking into his descriptions of life, exploring his descriptions of what it means to exist. And I use different language than many people in the Three Principles community, but nonetheless, what I want to point at is that Sydney would always talk about how words are only a metaphor. And so he describes life as a description of three principles: the principle of mind, which is universal mind; the intelligence of all that is the energy of mind. There's the energy of consciousness, which is our ability to perceive and experience. And then there's the power and energy behind the energy of thought. And people get caught up in, well, what does this mean? And what does this mean? And what does this mean? And what's the relationship between mind, consciousness, and thought? And well, thought is defined as this, and thought is defined as that, and consciousness is defined as this, and someone defines this way. And Sydney would always kind of go back and say, they're only a description of an energy that has a metaphoric representation as what the word is pointing at.
And the person that is saying it.
And the person they're saying, of course. And what he would invite us to do is to look beyond the word, to go beyond the concepts, beyond the conceptual mind. And I love that reminder. Again, like I say, I love words. I love definitions. I love structure. I love models. I play with them all the time. And I'm always looking, okay, what's on the other side of that? I'm trying to remind myself not to get caught up in the limitations that are placed by language. And so
Yeah.
I love the question, are angels and dragons from the same dimension? Because it's a beautiful thing to explore. Explore what that means for you. And who cares what Sandra or I say, because we don't know shit.
Yeah. We only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know.
And even that we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice thing. I mean, it's one of the things that I'm learning to explore with, and I'll share this with you guys. I was challenged recently to recognize that a lot of the generalized descriptions that are given in the spiritual community don't align with me.
Hmm.
And I bring this up a lot because I don't think I'm unique. I am the description that's given in any concept, in every context of spiritual development. There's people that use terms all the time. This idea of is, a star dragon. Some other speaker at some point could have mentioned something about star dragons because that's something that's really pertinent to them. Are they real or are they not real? Well, they are to that person, whoever described it to them. Whoever just, has that as a description of them. And the invitation is to go beyond to go past the metaphor and to try and connect with the essence of.
Love that. Yeah. Taking that again, another step, using star child. Like some human decided what a star child was.
I've heard
Are
so many
we?
different definitions of that.
Yeah, and are we not all star children? Like, I mean, I know what star I came through of the Orion's belt to come here at some point. So I'm a star child, but I don't recognize myself as a star child in the manner that other people say a star child is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of when people say, "Oh, yeah, you're not from this earth. You're from somewhere else." We're all from somewhere else.
Exactly.
The other day I
Exactly.
was talking with Shannon Johnson, and Shannon said something really, really pertinent. She said, "There is not a single being on this earth that hasn't had experience elsewhere because Earth is not your first starting point. It
That's
is,
right. That's right.
this is an advanced relationship with existence. And so
Yeah.
nobody that is a new soul would come to Earth. Now, there are younger souls on Earth, and there's more experienced souls on Earth, sure. But anybody that is playing in this dimension as a human already has a tremendous amount of experience in playing in all kinds of worlds and all kinds of dimensions, because this is an advanced playground, and you don't come here as your first playground.
Well, and
So
that is why I mentioned to Marion, like when you visualize that star and the planet, what have you, and the dragon around it, and whether the planet was inhabited by other dragons, and that's your dragon family. There, like, feel the connection to that. Like move beyond and actually feel the connection. Allow yourself to open up to the possibilities that this is your dragon family. Like, can you not feel that in the core of who you are? Like you're in your belly? Like it's just like it's magic. I don't know how else to explain that. Like once you decide that, you know what, I am going to explore this, it changes everything. It changes everything. You've just opened yourself up to the incredible possibilities.
I've been told. So Sandra and I did a journey together where I facilitated her experience through, and we met all kinds of dragons along the journey. And part of her dragon team told me that I was a dragon. They said that I was a warrior dragon. Now, I don't see myself as a dragon. I don't feel into, am I dragon energy? I don't know what the hell that means. But what I can feel into is the fact that my energy, what has driven me my entire life has a certain kind of energetic reference to it that when somebody says that I'm a warrior dragon, I can kind of say, oh, I can sort of associate with that. And I bring this up again because people are going to tell you stuff that might not resonate with you. But again, if you go past the specifics of and look more towards, oh, so what is that possibly representing? Maybe I can adapt that just slightly so that it aligns with my representation of the world. So
Well,
I love,
I could feel so much into that, Daniel, because that warrior dragon, like I very much energetically, like for the first time here, sitting here today, because that happened last year, I can energetically feel your warrior dragon, and I feel how, um, the word mannerisms come up, although it's not that I'm seeing in your mannerisms, but there's an energetic mannerism that's happening, and I didn't even know that was a possibility until just now, so that's kind of cool. Also too, though, it's in how you keep presenting to the world. It's how you keep moving through the world. So I can see where you are starting to feel the energy of that, being in alignment with that more now.
so again, the reason that I keep on playing with all of these things is just to kind of present ideas and perspectives for you guys to play in your own journey of what aligns with you. You know, I don't associate warrior with war and a
No.
fighter or, you know, an attacker. A warrior for me is again playing with how would I represent that to me is someone that's on the front line, someone that is upfront and courageous and going into the unknown, which I've always been a part of. I regularly talk about how I love playing at the edges of my understanding. That requires a warrior mentality. It requires a tremendous amount of courage to go beyond the conventions of what you've been told you are or life is. It's very courageous. And so for me, that's what a warrior represents. Someone who dares. Yeah, exactly. And so again, when people say stuff to you, take the language in a way that aligns with you and empowers you as opposed to not. Because one could think of a warrior dragon as, oh, well, they're vicious, they're angry, they're, you know, whatever. And it's not that at all. So language, again, because we're playing in the world of language, and Kitty's probably loving this conversation.
It's
Um,
human concept, though, of the human
it's
language.
so it's in any spiritual conversation, star child, you'll hear me talk about it in a certain way, then you're going to have Sandra talk about it a certain way, and then the person listening is going to say, well, what is the star child? Because Daniel said this and Sandra said that, and I'm
What
lost.
resonates with you? What resonates with you, right? That's
Right.
where it
And
goes.
we're all gonna interpret it in our way. And now
Yeah.
we're looking for some kind of consensus where at least we have an idea of what we're talking about. Um,
I know a beautiful angel warrior who, um, she's not all in metal. She's this beautiful soul who, and this is a live human being, but she is the angel warrior, and she comes in with love, and everything that she does with love. That's what she brings in, and she's not doing it in a forceful way, shoving love down anybody's throat or anything like that. She's coming in with love, and she's the angel warrior.
and
So,
so
yeah,
another warrior, Archangel Michael, is the
yeah.
quintessential angel warrior. So anyway, I just bring this up for whatever it's worth. Hopefully it's useful to
Yeah.
someone.
Does anybody have any other questions about dragons or inner dragon energy? Or
I would
this has
love
been
to,
really
while
great.
people are, please, feel free to put questions and comments in the chat.
Yeah.
I would love to have a more, I would love to get your perspective on what it means to either be an inner dragon or to have an inner dragon.
Wow. I feel that when I started to recognize that I had an inner dragon, that's when my relationships with dragons became even more powerful, even more connected. And when I say powerful, again, we think of the word warrior and what that means, and we think of the word powerful and what that means, but it's a deepening of the relationships when I recognized that I had an inner dragon energy. And the things that I have put into action since I've acknowledged and chosen to walk this path with my inner dragon have been really remarkable for myself, and I believe for the others that are around me. Just the way that I'm showing up because of this inner dragon, and the way it's empowering others as well. So that inner dragon piece, um, it feels like it's such core energy. It's such there's an essence to it, if you will. There's an essence to it. I mean, short of you asking me questions, I don't know how better to explain that.
I like the idea of thinking of the inner dragon as your inner core, kind of the powerhouse that exists within you, that drives you, that empowers you, that, again, my imagery of dragons are powerful beings. And so for me to think that, wait, I've got a powerful being within me that is a part of who I am is like, oh, cool. I can play with that idea. I can play with that concept. And it's really been fascinating. I was talking to my mother about this. I'm in the process of starting a new project. And I've thought a lot
Mhm.
about how this project, the CSVS, has helped me tremendously to better understand who I am and how I present and how I host, which gives me a voice that I can understand, that allows me to recognize, hey, this is me. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I know that. More than once I've been told that. And that's okay. But this is who I am. This is how I present. This is how I interact. And the new project is an extension of this. It's like the next
That's right.
layer. It's like the next level. And like, this was the training ground. This was the sandbox. And then now I'm going into full architecture, where I was doing sandcastles before, and now I'm going to start building buildings and
Yeah, yeah.
all kinds
Well,
of things.
and you know what? I'm finding the same thing. I was doing point A and really enjoying doing point A. In fact, did something with point A over the last 3 days. However, point B is just like, holy cow. Like, where I'm going with this now is really fascinating. So it's taking those things, those foundational pieces, and it's putting them into action. It's allowing us to explore that more and go deeper into that. Exactly. Marion wrote, I feel like it is an energy that empowers me to dare be who I truly am, and now let the world hear me roar. Exactly.
And
Yes.
that it's safe for you to be who you are,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that you have the energy within you to empower you to allow your true self to shine. I absolutely love that.
Remember what I said at the beginning, that the
That's
inner
beautiful.
dragon's the action taker, right? We have our inner knowing, and then the inner dragon is our action taker. So, yeah.
So, those of you that were with us last season with Sandra, um, I ended up getting a deck of cards from a woman that I saw in a dragon summit. I saw her presentation and she was selling some cards, and I reached out and said, I want a set of those cards.
She's incredible.
And I just pulled a card for us, and it is nurture. So this is the card that just came out, and it's nurture. And so you can interpret this in any way you want, which is what I love about how she presents these cards. She doesn't have a little book that says this card means. She very upfront knew from the energy that was coming. These are all channeled. These are all her artwork. She started channeling the artwork. She's like, I've never painted before in my life. You want me to paint dragons? What are you talking about? But anyway, So the way that she's presented these cards is these are the cards, and you interpret however feels right for you.
Yeah, infinity symbol. The little dragons at the figure 8 on there.
So nurture is the card for us today.
Wow.
Nurture.
May I tell you a story about that?
Of course.
Yeah, and not about the card per se, but about the figure 8, the dragon in the figure 8. I recently, there's something that I really like to do, and it's something that I bring to my community as well, is writing automatic letters, doing automatic writing. And that's when you ask a question of something and you get, by setting a timer and doing this writing, then you get to explore more. So I love that I'm using Marianne. There's a reason why. Okay. So Marianne, you could actually do a 25-minute automatic writing where you ask, is this my dragon family? And then just keep writing, and then the answers will come out from you automatically. Okay. I was doing this with a money letter where I was writing a letter. Actually, I think money was actually writing a letter to me. And what unfolded was this absolutely remarkable dance where I actually pictured myself as a stick figure, and this piece of money that was as big as I was had its hands out, it had little feet, and it was dancing with me, right? And it was so beautiful, so powerful, and I was just in awe of this. And 2 days later, I'm doing another meditation where I'm working with my white serpent dragon, and I'm clearing my energy. I'm connecting with this dragon, and the money. I call it the money dance, my glory money dance, and that's partly because of Kitty. That's why it's called that. But I'm doing this incredible dance with my money, and I'm the stick figure, and the money is this big piece of money. And white serpent dragon comes in and creates a figure 8, the infinity sign, so that the money's in one piece and I'm in the other piece. And it's every time I like it, this is such a powerful image to me now that I can feel the energy of how money has changed for me. I can feel the relationship with that dragon has changed with me. I feel how the relationship with myself has changed with me. And these are the possibilities that can happen. So when he pulled that card and it's nurture, and there's you, that adult dragon, and you, the inner dragon in there, nurture it, or the other way around. Maybe you're that little dragon and this is your inner dragon that wants to just pull you out and share you with the world, right? Wow. Yeah. Thank you for letting me share that. I haven't said that publicly to anybody. That's that white serpent infinity sign.
You know
Yeah.
what was
Wow.
cute when you were talking about the money? You know what I thought of was the Aladdin movie with the
Yes. And
carpet
the
and
rug.
the tassels. You know, and the tassels are its feet and its hands.
Yeah. That's exactly what this money piece was.
That's very cute.
Yeah.
That's very cute.
Yeah.
So anybody have any comments, questions? Time to nurture our inner dragon, and this will lead us to stand confidently in our beingness. Yeah. I mean, I think a big part of I was talking to Kitty about this in the last episode. I was talking about mostly, the idea, she was talking about it too, but what I was trying to emphasize is that for us to be able to go out and create a community, we've got to create within ourselves. And part of this idea of the inner dragon is that self-nurturing, self-empowering aspect.
Is there a dragon channeling for us? Ooh.
Go for it.
It's so interesting because there was, yeah, you know what? I remember this too, and I'm not sure if this will happen, but I remember when you and I were working together, and I was you were the holder of space for myself, and I actually put to voice a light language that was actually dragon, and I remember that very vividly. I am. I know that I personally am feeling really awkward in that. And so maybe I'm going to have a moment of, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Having said that, I can very strongly and feel this, that source dragon showing up. And there are all kinds of items in there, and you'll notice that I just continue to talk here. So just bear with me here a moment as I'm clearing our energy. I'm clearing my energy. I'm tapping in. It's so beautiful because right now I can feel how this energy vortex is going down into that lava, the magma, as you will, and energetically feeling how that's coming up as well. It's so weird. I feel very awkward, so I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm just gonna, to give myself over, I'm gonna step out of the way. I'm gonna
You
be
want me to help
open.
you?
There's no expectations. No limitations. I am creating the outcome. I am the outcome. It's so interesting because I felt like there was a part of my throat that felt like it dropped, like it changed shape. I would love your assistance, Daniel.
Just take a breath, feeling into the energy around you without thought, without expectation, without context. It's just you and I. Just feel into the energy around you, noticing the different vibrations of the different dragons that are around. And just notice which one is drawing your attention more. Which one do you feel more aligned to at this moment?
It's more that I am the dragon.
Excellent. And now, is this an inner dragon or is this a higher self dragon?
Higher.
Higher self dragon. So this is the larger dragon in the card.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the little one.
Very much
But
so.
it's a part of you. It is you, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So allow your energies to fuse. Recognize the similarity of the energy. There is a natural integration between that aspect of you and the other aspect of you. And as these energies are fusing, just allow yourself to voice in English or in light language, whatever wants to come through. Allow this other version of you to share a message with us.
There's much to learn, much to be. Sandra's not ready to put to voice this light language. It's very deep and guttural.
Excellent. Can you communicate telepathically with her in terms of the messages, an idea of the messages that you would like to convey? Let me interrupt that question. Let me ask you a different way. Can you convert your light language, which is more guttural, to the light language that she is comfortable expressing?
Mm. First of all, there's a very much a prism that is blue tones with gold speckles in it. Ascunte. There's, if it were to be represented as a prism or pyramid that is pointed in the direction like this, then what would be considered beneath, although it is in any direction, because this is out in the galaxies, there are what I'm envisioning is from the bottom of this, but I'm also seeing this from the human world when there are sometimes, everybody knows what northern lights are, or the borealis. It's not that. There are other lights that look like shafts of light, and sometimes they're different colors, and I've seen pictures, but I've also experienced them in my town. And that's what I'm getting the sense of, is this traversing, this not transportation, there's definitely traversing happening of
Is it a
it's
physical
not
shift or is it an energetic
it's
transmission?
energetic, because it's not like the mind is going. There's something else is traversing betwixt.
Is it like a transmission or a message that's moving, or is it more of a physical movement of something or someone?
Physical.
And is this you?
It's the word "it's all of us" is what's coming up, but and there's no but to that. My human brain is attempting to
Interpret. Yeah, I understand.
there's a lot of healing energies coming in with this as well. So there's also like this umbrella. There's some umbrella type of energy happening.
Like an encompassing umbrella or a protection umbrella from,
It's interesting. It's almost like a containment rather than a protection.
yeah. So it's not like an umbrella that's keeping you from the rain, but it's more of an umbrella that's containing things like a
Yeah,
corporate
and
umbrella, for example.
right, and we talk about the alpha ray, the beta ray, the gamma ray, radiation ray. There's it's one of these rays. I'm not sure which one it is, but there's like I'm getting symbols of this as well. But let me rephrase that. There are symbols to be seen, and I am unable to see them at this time.
Okay. So let's just take a breath. Allow your awareness and your consciousness just to settle a little bit. I'd like to connect back with that larger aspect, that larger dragon of yourself. With what has been shared, for the people that are listening, how would you summarize what the message is that you would like us to walk away with?
We come in peace. We are one. One are we. And although there is resistance, hmm. So it's the bear with me here. So I'm being brought back to the lava, the magma, and the witnessing of the black shell of that and how it's cracking open and coming through. That is what's happening at this time with dragon energy.
What else would you like to share with us?
For some, it will be uncomfortable. The key is to be.
Thank you.
Hmm. It's so interesting because I am very conscious of how I was here.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, I just looked over here because this is so present day to me versus the ancient. So it feels like this is very much happening.
Very cool. So I know that you've got to run at the bottom of the hour. So just take a moment and just kind of settle yourself. Come back into our conversation. Come back to us. Come back to us.
Well, I know that I am looking forward to exploring that guttural light language. That'll be interesting. Wow.
It'll be interesting to hear back from you next time that we talk
Mm-hmm.
about how what was being presented to you, to me, felt like this is where you're at. And yes, it was a group message, but it felt more like this is something that they were sharing with you for you
Okay.
to take you to the next level so that you can then share it with us later.
Okay. Okay. I understand that. Yeah. I
Um,
just yeah, that's really interesting.
but so for those of us that are listening, again, the messages that are being shared, I think, is exactly what I was going to say. Is there was an energy and a transmission that took place, whether or not we understood what was happening. You know, that's the thing with light language is our humans don't understand light language. It's a language of the soul that communicates energetically from, you know, beyond kind of concepts of human language. But there's an energetic transmission that hopefully most of you would have felt as part of that exchange, whether or not it made any sense to you, whether or not the messaging was clear to you or not. You know, again, like I said, for me, it felt like this was something that was more powerful for Sandra than it was for any of us. But having said that, it was for all of us too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was a
May I
healing
explain?
that took place.
May I explain what happened on my end over here?
You've got 6 minutes, so be quick.
I know that. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, energetically, as I went into that, uh, I, I'm very conscious of my husband laying here and listening. So I personally had to remove myself from the equation there because of the awkwardness that I felt. Um, and that's okay, right? But energetically, what I was feeling was I could feel as though I was the dragon's body. Like I felt it like probably 5 or 6 feet out back behind me. I could feel the size of the body sitting here. I could feel like this bone on my head, how it felt like it had changed shape as I was sitting here. I could feel the triangular um, ridge down the back. Like it was just really interesting because I've never experienced that before. So thank you, Daniel, for providing and holding the space for that. I really appreciate that.
Sure. So I don't remember what it is that you're offering in the special invitation. I forgot to talk about the special invitation with Kitty. We did talk about how to connect with her, but so how can people reach out to you? What's the best way for them to do so? And feel free to add anything else that you would like.
For sure. For sure. I actually, if you check out I think I really, I had only done the free offer, or the special offer was the Inner Dragon quiz. Highly recommend you connect in with that energetically. I would love to have further conversations around the Inner Dragon. It gives you the choice whether you want to be on my email list or not. You could definitely choose not to be if you want. You'll miss out on a whole kind of a bunch of dragon energy if you do choose not to enlist with the email, and that's absolutely fine. You can connect with me in other ways too, through Daniel. You can look me up on Facebook, sandrapelley.com, sandrapelley.com. Okay.
And as always, if you resonate with and want to explore this further, let her know that you came through CSVS so that she has that reference. And
love that.
So thank you for playing with us, Sandra. As always, a lot of fun. And I know that you've got to leave soon, so I will let you go, and a little early even.
I thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been so nice to feel your energy and your support. It's been such a blessing. Truly is. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. And so for those of you that are able to join us again tomorrow, we're going to be starting off with Kristen Newman, then Javona Klassen, and then myself. I will finish off the day. I'm always, to say that one is my favorite isn't accurate because I have so many favorites, but Kristen is truly an incredible, incredible woman that I resonate with very much so. And so I'm always excited to see what happens in those conversations. Sandra and Kitty and Chiara, who were all today, are also very important people in my life, as you probably could tell in the way that we interact. And so thank you for being part of this inner circle that I'm very honored to be a part of, Sandra. And for all of you guys, thank you for the inner circle that you're a part of too. And so I will leave you guys with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more. Have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.